Hey there guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we have some interesting news about, well, the whole Western world going to war with each other. Not a regular shoot war, but you know, eventually it might turn into that because that's how it usually goes. So this is a economic war, a trade war happening. So we all know that US is just throwing this tariff word a lot, and he's introducing tariffs not only on Mexico or China or, you know, some random countries he doesn't care about, but also on Canada and the rest of the NATO, and most effectively on the European Union. I thought they were allies. What happened? Well, what happened is that Trump introduced 25% tariffs on European steel and aluminum, or aluminium, is any way you want to call it. And Europe is obviously not happy about it. And I really like how Ursula von der Leyen said that she really regrets that decision of the US. Why do you regret it? You didn't do anything. There is nothing for you to regret, except that you're a puppet of the US and you have to do whatever they tell you. And it's kind of weird that they would do this to you after they blew up the Nord Stream pipeline, wrecked your economy, pushed you further away from your friend Russia that supplied you with everything very cheap, and, you know, basically made the whole world look at you like, well, American puppet. You ruined your political relations with everybody because of the US. But still, let's look what Europe is doing about it. So EU announces countermeasures to US steel and aluminum tariffs. The EU has announced tit-for-tat measures against US goods in response to tariffs, blah blah blah. So the European Commission said on Wednesday that it would be introducing its own raft of tariffs against US goods by April 1st. Oh, it's gonna be April's Fool! You know, it's not real tariffs, we were joking. The countermeasures were announced after US tariffs of up to 25% on EU steel and aluminum came into effect. The Commission said it would impose the countermeasures to protect European businesses, workers, and customers, and whatever. So we have, as the US, this is what von der Leyen has been saying, as the US are applying tariffs worth $28 billion or 26 billion euros, we are responding with countermeasures worth 26 billion euros. So it is tit for tat. You damage our union for 26 billion euros, we are gonna do the same to you. So we are gonna be, you know, on zero. And this is another thing that I want you to pay attention to because it's gonna be changing very quickly. $28 billion are worth 26 billion euros. You know what that means? It means that dollar is below euro right now. Yikes. But that's the plan. They're eventually gonna move that scale a lot as Europe collapses. But this is your friend, right? Your friend that blew up Nord Stream pipeline so you don't have a cheap gas. The one that told you to stop importing oil from Russia because, you know, they are bad guys. the ones, so your economy is suffering because of it, because you have to buy it somewhere else, and these people somewhere else are buying it from Russia anyways and reselling it to you for a higher price, or you have to buy a gas from the US that is not giving you a cheap price at all, is ripping you off left and right, and you have to sit there and be quiet. Quiet little puppet. Also, these same people ruined your relations with Russia, and I don't know how they're gonna repair that damage, but you have nowhere to go. At least Russia had somewhere to go when sanctions were in effect. They're like, okay, we're not gonna trade with Europe anymore, we're gonna trade with China, we're gonna trade with India, we're gonna trade with Middle East. We have options. Europe doesn't have options at all because they ruined all their relations with everybody because of the US. Just supporting US, following blindly like a goddamn puppet. They have no choice. So, woof. We also have, after, US is doing all this with tariffs, EU is talking about 50% tariff on American whiskey. What? Okay. Because, Trump is pretty much doing whatever he can, and EU is now kind of pushing it a step further. And this is fine. It's again from April 1st. Is, they're gonna push these new tariffs, and then Trump goes, because this went from 25%, now we're jumping on 50%, and Trump is like, let's skip a few steps, let's hit him with 200% tariffs. Oh my god, it's like little kids just fighting who's gonna be better, stronger, bigger. So Trump threatens 200% tariff on European alcohol as trade war escalates. 200%! These awesome nations, these civilized Western nations, these NATO members that are literally depending on each other, are fighting each other. Why? Why are you doing this? And Europe is confused. Apparently confused. I already told you this was gonna happen. That US is gonna deplete Europe. It's gonna use that puppet of theirs to better themselves. And now Europe is confused. Why is this happening? I saw this coming a mile away, years ago. And you're just now I don't even know if they're figuring it out right now, because they seem very confused about it. Like, of course they're gonna use you. That's what you're for. What do you mean? You thought you were their friend? Where are your military bases in the US? They don't exist. How many do they have in Europe? I don't know. But there is a lot of soldiers, American soldiers, stationed in Europe all the time. They just rotate them. You were in Europe for 2 years, come home, we're gonna send somebody else, and then you're gonna go to Japan or some other US puppets across the world. This is how US operates, so this is gonna happen to the other puppets as well, but for now, this is a EU... Right now, EU is first. It's gonna get worse, because every war starts like this. Like, I'm talking legit war. They start with trade war, like tariffs and whatever, and then they go a little bit further, and they go on sanctions, and eventually some territorial dispute, like, let's say, US wanting to annex Greenland for no reason, and Europe wants to defend Greenland for Again, no reason. And, then we move on from just economical things to shooty things. Is this what it? And you're talking about China being bad. China did nothing. They're just sitting there watching you destroy yourselves. Because this is stupid. Extremely stupid. We also have Putin sends Trump his ceasefire proposal. Because the US is being a peacekeeper of the world, apparently. And they made some deals with Ukraine where Ukraine is gonna give Russia whatever they want and US gets their money back and some extra. Like they gave them around 360 billion worth of weapons and economical aid, to Ukraine, and half of that didn't even reach Ukraine, but they don't care, and they want about 500 billion worth of some natural resources of Ukraine as their payback. That's some messed up stuff. That's almost double what you gave them, but that's how US operates. And they made this awesome deal with each other, but again, like in the past, did not consult Russia. So now they expect Russia to just bend over and be like, yeah, it's fine. Russia doesn't have to do anything. Russia can keep this war going as much as they like. They cannot lose this war. I've been saying this for years, and they cannot lose this war. So why do they think Russia is just gonna be like, okay, we're fine? They're asking for a ceasefire. US is proposing a ceasefire of, I think, 2 months. 2 or 3 months. So they can figure stuff out. Why? Russia can just keep pushing and demand unconditional surrender. That's it. They can do this. Nobody can stop them. If anybody tries, we got nukes. That's it. You have to let us finish the job. But Russia is thinking about doing this, and Russia... So Putin said basically that, you can't really find it right now, didn't even look, but you probably heard. Putin said that they will accept this ceasefire if it leads to a long-term solution. How do you know if it's gonna lead to it or not? Because let's be clear, last time when Ukraine talked about, the whole surrendering thing, when Russia went straight to Kiev and the Ukrainians were like, okay, we're gonna sign this, we're gonna talk about this. And as soon as Russians started pulling out their troops out of Ukraine, Ukrainians started shooting them in the back. And then the whole war escalated from a special military operation to a war. And you think this is not gonna happen again? For those few months, you don't think Ukraine is gonna regroup and solidify their lines? They're right now in chaos. I'm not sure what game is this guy playing. This guy is stupid smart. Like really smart. I don't get it if it's his advisors or what it is, but they're extremely smart. And if I was in his position, I wouldn't take any of the deals. I would keep going because, you're way too invested into it. So finish the job and take it all. Don't negotiate with these people because they're not your friends. The West is talking about bringing troops, a peacekeeping troops to Ukraine when the ceasefire happens, like France, Britain, Germany, whoever, Poland, like these same troops that were and still are fighting in Ukraine. Peacekeeping troops from countries that declared you your enemy. They are gonna keep peace? The hell are you talking about? You need somebody neutral. if you want to have peacekeeping forces. So let's say bring Indians. Why not Indians? They're neutral. They listen to both sides. They have freedom of speech. Just bring Indians. They should be a peacekeeping force. They didn't get involved in that conflict at all. They're the ones to go. Not Europe, not US. But Putin for some reason says, yeah, sure, we might take you on that. How is it gonna benefit them? I don't know. I really don't know, but you know, this guy has a plan, apparently. I don't know. But yeah, that's what's happening. So we have another step to NATO collapse. Just moving forward, as I was talking about this before. Relations are not getting any better. They're getting worse and worse. And I don't know what's gonna happen, really. But it's not gonna be good for the West. But anyways, hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure you let me down in the comments what you think about all of this. Make sure you subscribe. I'll keep letting you know what they're cooking while you're not looking. And I'll see you on the next one.